Hey, 20-1s. In this video, what we're going to look at is quadratic inequalities, but just of one variable, which means we'll only be looking at x's. We won't be looking at y values as well. Okay, how does this go? Well, instead of an equation, it's an inequality. It says graph and solve the inequality x squared minus 10x plus 16, but notice it's less than or equal to 0. Okay, how do we take care of the fact that it's less than or equal to 0? Well, let's just think about graphing this thing first and visualizing what's happening here. So if I want to graph this, my friends, so I'm just going to graph this for a second. Forget about the inequality. Let's go back to something that I know how to do. I'm going to graph this, and I'm not going to look for the vertex. What I'm going to look for are the x-intercepts. So I'm going to factor this thing, just like that. So what do I know then? So therefore, I know my x-intercepts are at 8, 0, and 2, 0, just like that. Okay, what does this graph look like then? Well, I'm in standard form here. So my lead coefficient's positive, so I know I'm opening upwards. I know my x-intercepts are at 2 and at 8. And I also know from the constant term that my y-intercept is way up here at 16. Okay, very roughly, friends, there's my parabola. It's not very pretty. I've got too much coffee in me. I got the coffee shakes going on, right? Okay, but more or less, there's our parabola. And I could have drawn that in my graphing calculator, but practice the skill. Now, what does this say? Let's go back to the question now. The question says we want to know where is our parabola less than or equal to 0. What this is asking us is it's saying where is our output less than or equal to 0? Well, we know where it equals 0. That's at 2 and 8. But where is our output less than 0? Well, our output is less than 0 right down here when our y values are negative, right? That's what that's saying. Where is our output less than 0? Right there. Okay, now how are we going to, so there it is visually. So our solution to this inequality then is that region. So our solution is this. 2 is less than our x is less than our 8. Okay, and we should write it a little bit more properly like that. Okay, again, if you're using interval notation, there's your solution from 2 to 8, just like that. Okay, now, my friends, how do I do this algebraically? That's where it starts to get a little bit more complicated. So to solve this thing algebraically, there's several different ways that I've seen teachers do this over the years. So this isn't the only way. Okay, it's not the be all and end all. Okay, but what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to go back to just the equation for a second here, or the function that we have right here. Okay, we had this thing factored, correct? That's what we had when we factored it. But the inequality we had was this, x minus 8, x minus 2, and we wanted less than or equal to 0. So we're still going to factor it. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do a sign analysis. Okay, a sign analysis. Like I said, there's more than one way to do this, but this is how I see most teachers generally do it. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a number line here. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to put a 2 here and an 8 here because that's where it's equal to 0, isn't it? Now, here's how the analysis works. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a random number to the left of -2, so something smaller than 2. I'm going to pick a number between 2 and 8, and I'm going to pick a number larger than 8. Any number in the world that I want. Okay, I'm going to choose as easy numbers as I can. I'm going to choose over here x is equal to 0. I'm going to choose something in between 2 and 8. I don't know, how about 5? Nick Lidstrom from your Detroit Red Wings. And let's pick a number bigger than 8. Let's pick Number 9 from your Detroit Red Wings, Gordie Howe. Oh, okay, we got to stick with the Red Wings theme. There's no zeros on the Red Wings. Let's go number 1, Terry Sawchuk of your Detroit Red Wings. Okay, bonus marks if you know who any of those people are. Okay, how does this work then? Well, all I'm going to do is I'm going to come back up to here. And I'm going to sub in these values. So I'm going to do it off to the side here, just over here to the right. Maybe I'll get rid of my solution. Okay, I'm going to sub in these values into the factored form. Watch how easy this is. 1 minus 8. Well, 1 minus 8 is a negative. I don't care that it's -7. It's just a negative. I stick in 1 into the second set of parentheses, the second factor. 1 minus 2 is a negative. Well, what's a negative and a negative? A negative times a negative is a positive. That's a positive. Okay, let's keep going. Let's do it again for 5. So now I'm hoping, catching on. I don't even care about the values. So I sub in 5. 5 minus 8 is a negative. 5 minus 2 is a positive. A positive times a negative is a negative. So I'm going to put a negative here. One more time. One more time for number 9, for Gordie Howe. Sub in 9, what do I get? 9 minus 8 is a positive. 9 minus 2 is a positive. A positive times a positive is a positive. So our sign analysis chart goes positive, negative, positive. Well, what the heck does that mean? Let's go look at the graph. It says I'm positive on my sign analysis where I'm less than 2. It says I'm positive where I'm greater than 8. And I had a negative when I was between 2 and 8. Guess what we just did? We just did on the sign analysis, we were able to figure out where our graph would be positive or negative. That's what we just did. So again, what this region over here to the left of 2 tells me, our graph is positive when x is less than 2. Over here, it tells me we're positive, we're above the x-axis, our y values are greater than 0 when x is greater than 9. And in the middle region, we're negative between 2 and 8. Okay, but we wanted, so the last thing we just got to be careful for in our question, we wanted less than or equal to. So I'm negative or equal to 0, and I need to include those 2 endpoints. So that is the exact same thing we got just by looking at the graph. So again, to do a sign analysis, what you'll do is you'll factor the function like we did right here in the box, draw yourself a number line, put down your values that make the equation or the inequality equal to 0, choose a number to the left, in between, and to the right. Those numbers are up to you. Choose Detroit Red Wings, you'll get the question right. And then find out, is your output, is your y values positive or negative? And that's how you solve an inequality, a quadratic inequality, algebraically. You'll use this exact same skill in a year and a bit when you get to calculus, my friends. So if you know you're going to take calculus in a year and a bit, this is an important skill for you. Okay, see you later. Let's go Red Wings.